Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Akins. Welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about my journey into the fitness world. And a lot of times we see fitness competitors and fitness people, and we don't really understand the good and the bad. So my guest speaker today, she's going to be sharing her journey. She's a certified personal trainer, a certified life coach, a competitor, and through her fitness and mental health journey, she's been able to take some of the stuff that she's learned and apply it to her experience with her clients. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation, Carly, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
And I know that, a lot of people are like, okay, you look, I love your muscles. You can see the muscles, you look strong. So we can tell that you actually do compete. I guess the first question is really, how do you get into the fitness world, and what was your first competition? Like what age, if you don't mind me asking?
So I got into the fitness world when I was around 14. Around that time, I started experiencing really bad anxiety, started struggling with depression. I didn't really know what it was yet. I didn't really understand anything. And my family life was very emotionally dead. So I had no one to turn to at home. So the gym became my outlet. And I had a lot of friends at that time that were trying to get into that. So it just kind of became an easy coping mechanism for me in a way at that time, which in turn ended up leading to getting into fitness competitions, just from staying consistent and sticking around with it. And then one of my friends a couple years down the road was like, hey, you should try competing. And I gave it a shot. And that was at 15 when I first started prepping for my first show.
Do you know what 15-year-olds are doing? We know what we're doing at 15. We're trying to survive high school. I commend you, because a lot of people don't realize how much dedication and how much struggle you have to deal with back and forth. And I guess, the first time you did it, did you have a coach or did you yourself? And were there any challenges you have that you can share with us that a lot of people may not be aware of being a fitness competitor, even at that age?
Yeah. So I did have a coach at the time. I didn't the first month or two because I didn't know I needed one. And then it was getting closer and someone was like, you need a coach. So I got one. They gave me the diet and training and stuff. But it's funny you say 15-year-olds are trying to survive, because at 15, that was my way of survival. Because my home life was not the best. There was always cops in and out of the house. I didn't like being there, and I would just be at the gym for hours. I would get home from school, go straight to the gym, go to my sports practice, go back to the gym and run. So even though I was seemingly doing a lot for my age, and I was doing more than most 15-year-olds would, I was just surviving like everyone else was. And my first two shows, I actually absolutely hated it, but I liked that it was giving me something that I did not have. And that was structure, that was discipline, that was a sense of self, that was a new place that felt like home.
I love that. I think, you know what, when you said that, a lot of people don't understand the gym. Some people don't realize, the mental health aspects of going to the gym. Like you, you found an outlet. You found a place where you could feel safe, as long as you had a plan. So I think, for a lot of people that maybe are interested in getting to bodybuilding or maybe experiencing stuff maybe thinking that the going to gym would be an outlet, what would you say, I guess for lack of a better choice of word, what is maybe the negative side, if there is any, that you may have experienced by, choosing the gym as an outlet? And I say this, I don't believe it, but I have to ask, some people may have a negative side.
Yeah, no, I definitely would say I was on a more negative side of it for a while myself. Before I got into bodybuilding, I was bulimic. I was throwing up on my food. I was over exercising. So there's definitely that side of it, which I completely understand. And I don't judge anyone or hate them for it. I just want to help them and show them that there's a better way. But I also think there's this side of when I was on the healthier side and I was bodybuilding, which I don't think everyone has to bodybuild to necessarily get that. For me, that's kind of just how my story happened, and I fell in love with the sport. But I think you can do fitness in any sense. But once I started doing things quote unquote healthier, then I almost got too addicted to the bodybuilding for a while. And I was going too extreme on that end. So I had to look at myself and look at my patterns. And I actually quit bodybuilding for a year to kind of take some me time, and then have come back to it in the last couple of years. with a much better mindset toward it. So again, that's just like my realm of fitness that works. But I think in any realm of fitness, there's those like extremes on either end where you like do it too much because like you feel like you have to, or you're like restricting and binging or whatever it is. So
I like that. I guess I have a question. As a society, and we place very high value on looks, like, visual aspect, because as a bodybuilder, it's just looks, and then we mentioned earlier that you're a certified trainer as well as a life coach. How do you help your clients adjust their expectations on what some of the ideal body should look like based on your own struggles? Because again, sometimes when you're coaching people, you're using your experience as well as the knowledge that you've gained.
yeah, I think that's a really big thing that every single one of us deals with to a certain degree. Even when I have like looked my best, I've often felt my worst. So I always like to relate that experience to clients because a lot of people will come to me and think like, oh, if I look like you, I'll feel a lot better. And I'm like, yeah, not really. That's not how it works. So I actually make all of my personal training clients and all of my life coaching clients, but do like a lot of journaling and a lot of like inner work to assess those things, because I find, especially as a fitness coach, it's very seldom, if ever, that someone will have a successful journey through fitness and through their nutrition if they don't look at that kind of thing, if they don't look at like that side of the street, if they don't look at the internal dialogue, if they don't look at how they really feel about themselves. Because everyone thinks like, oh, if I look better and I'm eating better, I'm just automatically going to feel better about myself. And I think in a way, because you're doing more esteemable actions by taking care of yourself, you will feel a little bit better, but it's not the looks that are going to get you there. And so there's definitely some work that needs to be done in terms of like journaling, just continuing to talk through those things to kind of help shift away from that like body dysmorphia that our society has created.
100%. And you know what, when you mentioned that sometimes you have clients that say, okay, if I looked at you, my life would be better. I think like it's so true, because the expectation is that, okay, once you look a certain way, life will be better. But as you mentioned, if you haven't addressed some of the issues you have internally, or even how you got to where you are right now, then you're always going to feel like, okay, that's not enough. I need to look better. I don't like that. Okay, I could do more. You always want more. So I appreciate you saying that, because I find even, as a competitor, sometimes you're looking at other people like, okay, can I look, I want to look like that. I wish I had better abs like that. Or if my glutes, like, it's so there's a struggle regardless of where you are within the fitness world, I guess is what I'm saying. And I really like that you mentioned that. And then just to going back, you said you start this at 15. Okay, you just gotta go back to that. I'm sorry, Carly. I know people that even at 30s or like, I think, you know what, let me step back. Because you mentioned that this was an escape for you, I can understand why you did that. I really, and I appreciate that. And, for anybody that may be watching or listening, what would you say to them to basically, kickstart their journey in the fitness world?
Ooh, I love this question. So my favorite like tip advice that I give to anyone that asks me this is to meet yourself where you're at.
Oh, love that.
There's so much out there. Tune out all that noise. Meet yourself where you are at. If you see someone on Instagram, if you see your friend or a family member, someone you know even, and they're like doing all this stuff, but you're not there yet, that's okay. So it's like finding this balance between self-acceptance and self-growth. So you're like, oh, I'm okay with where I'm at, but I want to be better, but I'm not going to like force myself to do all this ridiculous crap just to get there. So
Yeah, I really like that. Because you know what, when you say that, I think a lot of people get upset that they're not reaching the goals right away, right? And then when you say, start from where you are and just take it step by step. So I appreciate that. And I think, if anybody was interested in, reaching out to you, learning about your service, or, getting some feedback or following you, what's the best platform that they can reach you out on?
Yeah, right now my Instagram is going to be my cleanest and best. I keep everything on there super organized. So if you go on my page, you'll literally see like a start here button, and it tells you exactly what to do to find out about me. So feel free to check me out there.
And your Instagram name is?
Misfit Carls. Misfit being MISS. Little play on words there.
Perfect. So we're going to have that for you. And I think, for anybody, again, there are a lot watching or listening, by reaching out to you, what sets you apart from others that you think that they should know, that makes them feel like, okay, she understands where I'm coming from. She can help me out going forward.
Yeah, kind of like I had mentioned at the beginning, that like your own way kind of thing, like your podcast even talks about, because I don't give you just a this is what you're going to do to see results. I sit with you and take the time to get to know you so that we can come up with a style of training or life coaching or whatever it is that works best for you so that you can get the results you want and you need, not the results that are just some cookie cutter plan. So I always like to emphasize individuality in any of my coaching or programs.
I like that. I just want to ask you something personal. The reason I know, as a certified personal trainer, what made you feel like become a certified life coach?
Yeah, so I had been training for like 3 years at the time, and I found that most of my clients were also asking me for like help with relationships and finances and just like a lot of like general life stuff. And it's like personal training is therapy. It really is. I had a client tell me that left me this month. Her contract ended. She's like, I'm not emotionally ready to leave our therapy. So, training sessions. So I was like, okay, I kind of want to pursue just being able to help people on like a larger scale. And I really enjoy it. It's really worked out for me. Obviously, I like, I'm 23, but I still have at least one more step ahead from someone else that I can help them with. So I always try to look at things that way.
When I'm talking to you, I know that you said your age, but I would have to say anybody is watching or listening, you don't come across that young, right? So you carry yourself well. So I appreciate this conversation with you. And I think, before I let you go, what's next for Carly? Like, what's the big thing next for you want to share with us?
Yeah, so what's next for me? I have no idea. My life is in a very transitional phase right now. Literally a week ago, I could have given you a very different answer. But a lot of things have changed as of late, all for the better. And so I'm really just allowing myself to be open to the uncertainty and like beauty that can allow. So, I mean, business wise, I've still got my businesses, but as far as my life goes, yeah, just figuring things out.
I appreciate it. It was great having conversation with you actually, because a lot of people, you see, fitness experts online, stuff like that, but you never really get an opportunity to sit with them and talk to them unless you're a client of them. And even then, as you mentioned, half the time you're doing therapy.
Yeah.
You question about yourself, right? Or your journey. They're really your therapy. It's really therapy. So before I let you go, anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered all of the goodies that I got to share with you guys today. So thanks for having me. It was really, really great. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired, and don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way podcast. Have a good day, you guys.